Got the sunrise on the water, time to chase that big one off the. Yeah, the boat is cutting waves, nothing like the feeling that it saves. It's all about the terminal tackle, demystifying every single shackle. From the braid down to the hook, giving you that insider's look. Yeah, it's that rig guy, that rig guy.
G'day, it's float time with that rig guy. Yes, over the last couple of days, week or so, I've been getting a few messages asking about floats. And so here I am doing some floats. As you see, I've got a variety of different floats here. And we're going to start from my left, which is probably your right, and it is the turnip float. Well used. I need to get there and repaint that. Then we have our common squid float. Even though we've got another squid float here, there is a difference. This one is a weighted squid float, so it helps with the casting. So you don't need to add on way too much weight when you want to get out there over the kelp beds with your squid jag. Well, we have another well-used and weathered cigar float. This here, I believe, is another form of cigar float, which is weighted. You can see the sinker at the bottom, and I'll demonstrate how we use these. And we're going to move on. We've got a plastic pencil float. We have the foam pencil float, which is available through Lovell Rigs. We have what's commonly known as a gar float, which is another form of pencil float. Now, this here is a quill float, commonly used for blackfish, and also you can use these for other freshwater species and saltwater species as well. We have a very light quill float, like this one here is like 2 grams. And we have, I call these stem floats. They come in a couple of different sizes that we get off Temu. These are great. That's a 30 gram. You'd be able to use that quite well with a squid jag. And we've got our other ones. Then over here we have a feeder float or a burly float. These are great. And then we have the adjuster bubble. Yay. So yeah, that's the adjuster bubble. And we have a little bobby float or ball float. Now, you'll see this one here's rigged up. Now, this one's been rigged up for mullet. We're using this to catch mullet in the High Marsh River down in Victor Harbour. It's a nice little long, and we've got a little number 6 bait holder on there. And that was work perfectly to catch some nice size mullet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start over this way again. We're going to work down on how we use them and what rigs I've got set on these. Well, this one here, this is just a quick setup. I have failed everybody. I didn't put my beads on there because I was in a kayak when I did this. I was using this over in Victoria to float across shallow sand flats for flathead. So I had the kayak out and I was casting a soft plastic with a Hobie soft bait, soft plastic, Australian brand, absolutely fantastic plastics. I'll do another talk on those later. So I just had a bit of yakka on these, a nice oily bit of flesh, and I was drifting that over the shallow sand flats while I was casting a soft plastic. That worked quite well. Now, this is our squid float. We always use, people know we use these for squid fishing. Now, how do we put these on? Well, as you see, I've got that just threaded through there with the beads on these. And I have a plastic collar. Now, that plastic collar, you insert a post on. Put that there like that. So that post goes into that collar. A lot of people put put them in like that, so that when the float hits the water, it bounces up and it can knock that post loose. What I do is I take that post and I put it in upside down. So when it hits the water, that action of that coming up and hitting there actually knocks that more into the collar than out of it. You need to be careful. These collars are susceptible to sun damage and they will fracture and break quite easily. And if you push that in too hard, you can fracture them as well. With this, as I said, it's weighted. There is a fair bit of weight in that one. Easily tell because it's got the green on it. And when you pick it up, you can definitely tell the difference. I said, ideal for your squid floating. You want to cast out that extra bit off the jetty. They're great for that. Set it up exactly the same way as this. Cigar float, once again, you could use that with a lighter squid jag. I have used a 3.5 squid jag on those quite successfully. We're going to come to another weighted cigar float of sorts. And it's got a spring on it. Now, as you see, there is nowhere to put the line through. But if we pull this back, turn it around, you can see there's a cutout along here. What we do is we slide our line into that cutout, pull it down. I tend to do, get it back in there. Technical issue, not enough hands. Get that in there. What I tend to do is I then wrap that back around. And I go back through there again just to give a bit extra pressure and then pull the spring down. And what that does, that holds that in place. So that's now out there. The other bit's down there and it will sit up quite nicely. I've caught plenty of fish on these. I love them. I've even lost a lot of them. Not doing the bag up properly. I've had a couple fall out. Devastating. Now we're going to move across onto our pencil type floats. The plastic pencil float. There's several ways we can rig these. Is that piece going to be long enough or is that piece... Nope, none of these pieces are long enough. I'll cut myself another piece. So I'm just using some nice bright orange fins line here. Or finish line. It's great for showing people how to do things, demonstrating. So you can get there, you can set these up in several different ways. I'm going to go over a swivel. I'm just going to do a basic blood knot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. Through the hole, then we come back and we go back through that locking hole. Bit of wet, pull tight. Even though it's display, still got to make it look nice. Next bit, because we want to protect our knots, we're going to put the bead in. So now we can rig this through the bottom hole. Bring that up. We can then go through that top hole and then we lock that in by going underneath and up. And that's going to lock that. Something's moved there. That come from there. Let me get this right. We'll bring that under. And through there like that. And with that and the bit of weight there, it's going to lock it into place. We can also use the top hole in a way where we loop it, push the loop through, get the loop small enough to get through that little eye. We bring that over, and once again, we take that through there I can pull that tight on there and it's looped that through quite nicely. It's going nowhere. And if you want to adjust it, you just loosen the eye off and you bring it through. Now, that's also really, really good if you have another swivel on that end and you want to put that on through there. But we'll demonstrate that with another float. We've also got it sitting there like that. And this is where we can do what's known as take that off of there, a running float. And you'll see you can do a running float with several different types of floats. Once again, tie that on. Put there. Make it a bit quicker. Now, if you're a follower of our page, the Bubble Rigs page, you'll know that there's been a podcast advertised called Terminal Banter. That's done with myself and a good friend of mine over in Newcastle, Dunks. First episode has dropped, and that's available on Spotify under Terminal Banter, and we'll even have a Facebook page, a YouTube page for it for you to watch me talking to Dunks on the phone, because I'm in South Australia. He's all the way over in New South Wales and Newcastle, as I said before. And we've also got the Facebook page to jump on and throw questions to us that we can answer on the podcast. We look at trying to get our guests being followers of the show who can come on. We just talk fishing with them and answer any questions that they have. So, yeah, we have a few guests lined up, but we're always looking for more. And the average everyday person is exactly what we're looking for, because it's a fishing show for the fishos, by the fishos, and we're not influencers. We're not trying to plug way too much stuff. We'll tell you what we think's good. It's up to you to go from there. At the moment, there is no paid promotions because we're one episode in. So this here is one version of a running float. It's where you have your weight and your hooks down here, and they'll just get there and bob up and down the water like so, which is great for like choppy areas. It doesn't get there and pull that float down too much when the water moves, which is really, really good. Another way to do this is we go to this one here, because you can do the similar type of thing here. I'm going to show you two ways to look after this one. So grab that. I'm going to use a float stop of a different kind on this. So I'm going to put my bead on there, whack that in there, and pull that through. We have these here, these float stops. Now, you've probably seen these before if you've seen how I do my slide rig. If not, go back and have a look. You can see that these got a really, really... the bending doesn't really give much of a good loop. Normally, I'll pull one of these out, get a hook, push the hook through it. That way, right there, I've got that. So, yeah, I'll use a hook to open that eye up a bit more. So what I do here is I now grab my float stop. I'll push that hard up against there. And because that wire is slippery, I grab it with my pliers, twist around, and pull through. Put that over there, out the way. And as you see, I now have a float stop on there. And because there's actually a fairly decent hole on that, you're going to get your little float stop caught in there. So this is the trick from the slide rig. I get my oval bead, give it a bit of wet, got to have wet, and then you just push that on. bead size, I can't remember off the top of my head. If you want to know, just leave a comment in the comments, and I will find the bead size. I should have looked prior to bringing it out, but that now works as an absolute stonker of a float stop. And then you can get there and you can bring that so it's dead against, so it doesn't move, or you can turn this into another running form of a running float where you now have that up there and that just up and down like so. But if you want, you can change that out and not use that and just use, like we've done with this one here, another bead and a swivel to lock it in place. So I'll take this one, take that off. Well, we're going to go to, I'm going to skip over this one here for a second. I'm going to put that over into that pile there because there's a reason for that. This is a quill float, also known as a blackfish float. What we do is we put our line through here, and you see there's no loop and no hole at the top. But what they do come with is this one has a clear one, a grommet. We put that grommet over our line, or sorry, the rubber ring, like a little rubber band, and then we push that over. And you can see, I don't know if you can see the shape of that. It actually bulges and gets bigger. You push that down till it gets firm, and then that's just going to sit in the water like so. And once again, that is adjustable. You just tighten your rubber ring a bit, silicone ring, and it just sits there like that. These are great. I've used these to catch all types of fish, from carp to whiting. When we were up in Coffs last, we were talking about 3-4 years ago. We were fishing at a place called Mixed Landing, and we were getting lots of little taps of the morning. Couldn't hook a thing, tiny little taps. And the person behind the camera can vouch for this. I whacked one of these on. I cast it upstream and let the current of the tide bring it back down. And we ended up bagging out with silver whiting. Now, we used a bit of beach worm just off the hook, a little bit of about yay long off the hook, as just put a couple of twists over through the hook and just cast it out and just let it drift down. Where we couldn't get a hit, we actually bagged out using a float for whiting. And that there is just a blackfish float. Very easy to use, great. Now, one of the advantages of float fishing is not only do you get there and have the ability to fish a totally different water column, so you're fishing the top part of the water column, but if you want to get your kids involved in fishing, sight fishing with kids is the best way to do it. They can follow what's happening with the float instead of sitting there and trying to watch the tip of a fishing rod. As soon as that starts to bounce up and down or move like this in the water, they know that there's a fish on, and they can bring it in. Where when they're sitting there and they're watching a rod do this, they're not going to be able to tell the difference between a bit of wind, a bit of water movement, or a fish. So it's best to get them started on floats. Now, let's grab the line off this one here. We're going to go to the stem float. I'm going to show you the 30-gram one. Pull the stem out. And as I said, these here, cheap off Temu, great for fishing with kids, because kids have a habit of losing things. So as we just feed that through that nice big hole there, and I drop it, feed that through there, we get the stem, and we just bingo bango, there it is, all done. These can also be called as bobby floats as well. Now, what's so good about these for fishing with kids? That stem is, you can lose that stem. Go get a twig, shove a bit of twig in there, it does the same thing. You still got your float. You don't need, and you got a replacement for your stem. So that's why these here are absolutely fantastic for fishing with kids. Best. As I said, Temu, and you get a variety pack. They come with all these here that you see there. The stem floats offer Temu in a packet. I don't have the... But there we go. Hang on. There's a 25, a 3, and a 5 gram in there as well. So that's what you get in the one off Temu. So now, with this one here, right, 2 gram, it's one of those ones where, like, you don't want to run a line through there and try and get it to pop up. It's one that you want to have sitting on the 2 beads like I've got here that I've done with the 2 float stops, and you want something to run through. So these are the slides that I used to use for my slide rigs, to which I now use for this when I'm fishing with these. And I don't have many of these ones left, but these are also great for whiting and timid biting fish that are very timid to catch. So just whack that on there. And like the ball float, that will just sit there and go back and forwards between there like that. All you need is the tiniest little touch and it'll go down. You don't want too much weight on these. You can even get extra small ones of these. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, the red oval beads are 6 mil by 5 mil. And where are my extra small? Here they are. That there is the extra small. And you compare the two. You can definitely see the difference.
And where do they get them from?
I don't know. My purchasing person buys them.
That'd be me. Either Temu or AliExpress.
I think you actually get these, or you used to get them through.
I used to get these from my China supply, but you can get them on Temu or AliExpress.
Yeah.
They also come in red and
yellow,
which are a little bit heavier weights.
Yeah. So that's that one there. If you don't have your 6 by 5 millimeter oval beads, once again you put one of those on and you can run it the same as what I showed you with this one here. So you do exactly the same as that with the beads either side. Now, what's that one there? That's that there. What am I looking for? I'm after a certain piece of line. What did I do with it? That's it there. I'm going to leave my special one till last. Okay, so gar floats. These here, you can rig these by putting these through the hole like that and running it like that one there. You can run these the same as that again by going through there, through the top. Around and under. So you got it sitting like that. You can do the loop as well. The old loop trick. Getting old, just trying to find the eyes and everything just don't work like they used to. We'll push that through. Bring that up, over, grab that bit there, through there, and voila. like that. Now, the way I do it with these for my gar rigs is because there's normally another swivel on top when I do these. So I put a swivel on. Because my gar rigs are a one-piece rig. But when these when I get rid of these, I will be going to these in a running gar float. So what I do is I'll grab my loop, like I did before. I'll go jeepers through there. Like so. Over. I don't want the twists in that. Over the top there, take that one there, pull that tight. And I come back and I do exactly the same thing down here. That way we can actually take these off if we want to, and we can change them over. Now, when we're gar fishing, there's several ways we can gar fish. We just use this on its own. Okay, we can use one of those on their own like that. Not a problem. Okay, they tend to sit in the water like that. When the gar comes on, they tend to stand up, which is great. Now, another float that's used for gar fishing, Tommy's, which is also known as herring, is the feeder float. Now, if you have a look, what's going on there? It doesn't want to let go. Okay, hopefully that will let it go. Yep. Is the feeder float. Now, these float on their own. You take the cap off, both ends come undone. You put a bit of burly in there, whack that in there. You can use a sponge in there if you want with some tuna oil or salmon oil, or whatever your homemade concoction is. Bit of aniseed oil, bit of garlic essence, that type of thing. And once again, we've got the holes there. Now, I don't like turning these into a running, just having the line running through the bottom, because if you get there and end up losing the top, you basically lost the top of your thing. You only got that there. So what I do is I rig these exactly the same as what I did with that gar float. Is I'll go through the top there, over there, and there like that. So it hooks on, and then I'll do the same here as well. Through there, over, back there like that too. That way that you're not going to lose the caps off your float. And then if you want to get there and fill it up again, they just slide. Loosens up, you open it up, pack your burly back in, pull, and it goes tight again. Really, really good. Now, do I have another one of those? I do. Cool. So when gar fishing, if you want to use that and the gar float, is it going to be long enough? It should do. Actually, I'll make it a little bit longer. That's good enough. Okay. I'm going to tie another bit of line onto that swivel there. All right, and I've got one more swivel over here that I can use. I'll put that on there like that. So I've got 2 bits of line. You can make these as long as you like. So I got that one there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the gar float on that. Through there. Take that one there. Take that there like so. I'm going to bring that up there, that way. And I'm just going to put it on the same way. Now, I'm calling this a gar rig, but I'm sure you could use this for mullet as well. Anything else that's leather jackets, anything that's going to take to the burly, and like so, like that. Now, normally the way you run this is like that, and that goes down to your hooks. Because then when that's sitting there, you get a bite that's going to tip down like that. If you do it the other way around, this one here is more buoyant, and your garfish, which are a timid biter, are going to feel that pressure and they're going to shy away from it. That one there being a lot lighter, it will actually tip up like so and be less resistance for the garfish while that's feeding out your burly. Now, this last one, this is called a adjuster float. Now, nice and clear. They are fantastic for fishing for trout where there's nothing really showing above it. It just looks like a bubble of water. You can fill these up with water to give yourself cast weight. So just open the top up like that and just top a bit of water in there. I use these for fly fishing with a spinning reel or an overhead reel. So just use one of these and have your fly about a meter back from there. And how we use these, and these are fantastic, is you thread your line through. You pull your line, pull the bottom bit out, and give it a couple of twists. 2, 3 twists is all you need. And there you go. Can you get there and top it up with water once you've done that? You most certainly can. These are not cheap. This one here, when I got this a couple of years back, was $7. I picked this up at Spot On Tackle at Salisbury in South Australia. So Steve and the guys up there, g'day, haven't been up to see us for a while. I must get up there at some point. But yeah, drop in and see the guys at Spot On, sorry. No, they're not sponsoring this. And say g'day to them. But though that there is the adjuster bubble float. And I love these. They're great. I've got 3 of these. I need to go get more. So that is my take on floats. Watch out for episode 2 of Terminal Banter. If you've already seen it. If not, go to the Facebook page. I'll leave the Facebook page, YouTube channel, and also the Spotify link. I'll leave them in the bottom of the description of this thing. Right? Yeah, I know. I'm great with words. That's why I'm that rig guy, and you're not. And till next time, tight lines. I'm that rig guy. Get out and get amongst it. Catch ya.
All right, legends, that's another one done. Hope you learned a trick or 2 in the sun. So get out there, wet a line, and have a good time. This is that rig guy signing off this time. Keep them lines tight.